I want to talk about just a bit in a short pause, in a short whatever stop from my activities with bikes everywhere and just watch out this beautiful polished XTR 980 985 XTR race, which is two front chainrings with three front chainrings with a how can you say that Q factor, let's say like this. You can see this edge here is bigger, this one is smaller, which means the crank arms basically on the race version are closer to the frame, even though the weight is not an improvement on the left, but I will also measure the drive side. This is not the debate now, but just watch these beauties here. This is fully polished and this one is not fully, is with the model fully polished, and this with model. All right, so one idea which crosses my mind because I listen to different things while I'm working on my bikes. I also listen to motorcycles materials and stuff. One of them being a journalist, moto journalist, let's say like this, for motorcycle MCN, whatever network, a British magazine, and his debate is about ABS. I went deep or deeper into one specific point about bicycle brakes, which is the same 4-piston front and rear, which is crazy to do on a bicycle, nonsense, and more so it is in my opinion unstable to use. It takes a lot of sensitivity and it just mess around with the control of you and the bike, more so if you have 3 pot calipers front and rear, as there were some models from Hope. I don't know what's them called, but they have 6 pot calipers. The idea about this, which I will talk about in this episode, come up from these 6 pot calipers which go uphill, let's say like this, from close to close, from subject to subject, but the idea is ABS. One of my cousins, which is also a motorcycle rider or ex motorcycle rider and a tuner, car mechanic, electronist, or in general automotive engineer with a lot more experience and experiences and practical knowledge and theory than I can have in this life if I'm not starting today, to just bust my back and to just recover all these years. He basically had motorcycles since 18, 19, 20 years old, and grew from a small motorcycle to a top race bike for the States. His motorcycle was a Yamaha, which was the first one to have a 3-pot calipers front. Of course, the rear had no 3-pot calipers, but rather just a single or a double. I think a single, to be more specific. I mean double, not 4, not 6. So one side, one on each side. And of course, the front the motorcycle have one disc on the right, one disc on the left, but the rear have only one disc on the right because the left have the sprocket. Anyways, a smaller caliper on a single side, not a double with a much bigger one. Why? Because on the rear you don't need that crazy power, because you also, if you have or you need the control, the rear wheel does not have weight, and of course you don't need the ability to lock the rear wheel as easy as possible, more so with your foot, with your right foot, but you need also some control. So that bike had no ABS, if I remember correctly. The Bagai, so the 2009 had a traction control. I don't know if it was 2012 or from the beginning 2009, but there were 3 modes traction control, and more so I think in that period, in that generation, they came up with ABS. But the RN19, which is 0708, even though it's a facelift somehow from 0506 RN12, which have only 4 or double pot calipers, not 3 or 6 pot calipers. No ABS basically. So when I was at the garage with them, he talked to me a bit, just a bit, about why MotoGP riders don't use, or it's irrelevant for them to use ABS, because they don't need. They are in control of the machines. They know what they do what they want, and ABS is not needed, even though they can afford, they can spend whatever on ABS. No need. I think even in rain they don't need ABS. So what's the point with ABS, and why to talk about ABS not as motorcycle riders but or enthusiasts, but rather as uh, bicycle riders or whatever, because for a vast amount of people, for the masses, it can do a thing good, let's say like this. I remember I talked about the ABS sensor, which can have more or less sections to read in a time interval, which of course can lock the wheel faster or slower and whatever. Basically, it's very complicated, and more so if you ride it in wet, if you ride in heat, if you ride in cold, if you have this tire, those tires, if you brake like this, like that, if you're in whatever situation, or if you prefer ABS to unlock faster or slower, those things are just as they are, and of course you start to enter into tuning tuning stuff, tuning things. So to just leave the middle point set for the masses, basically the standard. As in the drag races for motorcycles, when you crack the ECU, basically from a let's say 50-60%, which also my cousin told me about his Yamaha R1, which comes up very restricted from the factory. He used a SBK ECU software, which unlocked to full power all the gears. Basically, you needed to know what you're doing there, and of course you are in control all the time, basically in wet, in corner, starting from red light to green light to whatever, you're always in control, as those racers, MotoGP racers, do when they jump in the saddle. Because of this, this characteristic, the drag racers usually not only do software things, but they also do hardware things. Basically, they lower the bike, both front forks and rear. They just lower it because it's a parasite to just wheelie when you accelerate, because you want basically to put all the power into the ground and to just move forward, not to lift the wheel. You extend the swing arm, you reduce some weight, throw up the ABS system, which weight 5 to 10 kilos. You try to push as much air as possible. If you have different grills, obstacles, you correct the fuel ratio, of course. As I said, you unlock the ECU power, but a very important thing here, after you did all these hardware and software things, they need to match. They need to work specifically for your purpose, because if you just unlock the 100% completely, even though you lowered the bike, you extended swing arm, whatever, it can be awesome, but for drag race, not for let's say like this, street or racetrack. More so on drag race, you can want, for example, first gear to be for you to just crack the throttle and to grow. For example, even if you can unleash 100%, maybe want just 90% of that power, because from experience and experiments you could see that of course you can control the throttle, but you just want to open it maximum, and you study if the front wheel start to lift a bit much, and with the software of course you can just fine tune everything so the front wheel still lift but it just go smooth. So basically you're just controlling after the hardware, the software to be maximum as fast as possible with the help of electronics. Whew. What a big debate. This is to just go. This is for acceleration. This is also made with traction control, even though the power delivery of course is somehow controlled with the longer swing arm. You want the tire to spin a bit but not that much. You can make it spin less by adding more grip, a more grippier tire, or just reducing the power, or from the traction control to make it feel the wheel spin and basically cut off this power. It's a lot. It's fine tuning and is for each rider, of course, beating one track. Of course there can be different track conditions, different tracks. So in Louisiana track you can have some performances, but on a different lower quality tarmac your setting does not work and you obtain a bad time, a very bad time, because the surface is not that sticky or whatever. In this whole discussion, the idea is from a factory motorcycle, which is standard, which is for everyone, just goes whatever with standard tires, standard ABS, standard ECU, standard power. You can say it's good, is whatever, but if you just want something to do on your own, to fine tune, to excel, of course that's just swimming against the flow. It's fighting gravity. It's just those things work against you. They're bad. So this discussion is not about being good for the sake of having them and using them, I don't know, like in a chill way, in a standard application, not pushing, not nothing, even though ABS and traction control usually come up in limit situations. You understood. We talk about now as experts, as people who chase small portions in whatever direction we want to go in a certain period of time or in a certain moment. So what's the idea with this bike and these behaviors? This is a bike he had at that time. Is basically the last Yamaha of the last age with no systems and whatever. Of course it have a ECU, but it is an analog bike and unforgiving. If you let's say like this, you don't know what to do, or if you do something in a way, this bike will listen to you, even though that could mean to just throw you on the ground. Very beautiful bike, and in my opinion the most beautiful, I think, is my favorite also. Not because I saw at him, but more so because I saw this bike. On my, I don't know, 5-meter range, like this 5-10-meter range, and I heard it with my eyes and my ears and whatever. So basically, trust me and trust him. Those MotoGP riders who does not use ABS, and more so what I will talk about with our bicycle joke. We talk about motorcycle, not about bicycles. Bicycles are jokes. This somehow is more and more important also in bicycles, because we tend up to improve, as I said, 4-pot piston on the rear, which is my subject. I did not found anywhere on YouTube anyone to bash and trash this subject. Everyone just do dream bike builds and just really goes on like this. Oh, 4-piston Magura, XTs, Saint, Mavens, SRAM, whatever. They just put 4 pots on the rear. No one is just thinking a bit and saying, man, this is just stupid, very stupid. And it's not a problem. I talk about this. The idea is we start to add weight on the bikes. E-bikes and road bikes, they tended to just add a lot more weight. On the road bikes we have disc brakes, bigger tires, which of course add a lot of extra weight if you compare to rim brake and very skinny tires. If you talk about gravel bikes, this is the same. We don't make a difference here. More so if we talk about e-bikes, because with e-bikes you have the motor, you have the battery, you have extra frame, you have bigger tires to have the grip and whatever. And with these e-bikes, of course, there are already models and things which I described in general in the last break discussion. So we have ABS for a, let's say, long time. But what is with this ABS system? Is it good? Is it bad? And I will say from now an affirmation, which is the same thing as for MotoGP riders. I won't say for 100 years, 200 years from now, the ABS will only be a pain in the belly, but what I say is um, it will be a preference exactly as in Formula 1 and MotoGP. There are a lot of teams, a lot of riders who each one of them have a certain role for each specific track, for each specific bike, to adjust each model, because you can have this model of Yamaha, but after 3-4 years everything change, the tire manufacturer can change, and everything is a blank sheet of paper again, starting from zero to fine-tune that object, as I said, for a specific track. So there are big things, of course. You can say, as in Formula 1, of course you need traction control and all those things. It is very important for the team to adjust the tool to fit perfectly to the rider or driver character, let's say like this, or style, or whatever. But to be honest, a lot of things need to be in control of the rider. And if we talk about in general ABS, good or bad, oh, good is bad, is good or bad, that thing can be so wrong, because you can't fit that one setting to fit every rider on the street, every rider on the track, and more so to all the top most or best athletes, motorsport athletes. So of course you can just skip few things and let each person to do things in his own way. And of course you can say, oh, but what I do if I just grab the brake and lock the front wheel, and whatever, you crash. It's part of the experience, let's say like this. You can also crash with ABS or with traction control, because in whatever situation that programmed in a specific way for a specific case, and whatever like whatever very complex aeronautic systems failed and people died in plane crashes, of course in some circumstances which were programmed in a different way, those things can fail. So it happens. Oh wow, it happens. But if you want control in different situation, of course, if you follow the same pattern, if you follow the same ABS setting, or even a complex system, so you create like a hacker a complex system of ABS braking, whatever, it is still a fixed system which can apply only in certain situations. So basically you can find yourself off guard in some situations, and more so it can appear that system can be fooled in just in a, as I said, in a like a plane crash thing, when is required only one factor for a huge crash, not a chain of factors, but even one factor can be very important. All right, we talked about ABS. This is my opinion about ABS. Basically, it is good, let's say like this. You can create a system, because if for example you can use the ABS, as I presented the drag race situation, when you have a power plant, the engine, you have traction control, you have tires, you have swing arms, you have suspension, you have throttle, you have ECU, and whatever. You just delete the rear brake, you delete one rotor in front, of course, for losing weight, for losing that small drag, whatever rotational other forces and masses and whatever parameters. You only want to just go further, to just accelerate. But if you talk about the deceleration, the brake, the thing is as complex as in the previous way, but even more complex, because if you design a ABS system, of course in a drag race you just go straight for 1.1 per 4 mile, 1 per 2 miles, whatever in kilometers that means. So you design that to just go straight, or for highways races, roll races, as they are called. If you talk about MotoGP and you also have corners, that's one thing. If you talk about Isle of Man TT, when you don't have that much corners, but you just go on street, which is let's say like this, bad surface, a lot of vibrations into the bike, because it's not smooth and flat and whatever. It is basically the road race. Again, different things, a lot of things. So with the braking process, it is even more complicated than in the racing, because you have that ABS system to be suited not only for, as for the drag race, to stop in the going straight, or in the drag race track. So you just cruising 300 kilometers per hour, and the next trend will be, let's see which one can stop faster. As today the trend is which one can accelerate and finish that course fastest, who can brake fastest. That's only one situation. Exactly like you prepare your bike for drag, good luck to accommodate the hardware and the software for that situation. If you start to lean, of course, as I presented, the situation becomes a lot more complex, a lot of variables from each style to race, to each rider, to whatever. So it becomes a let's say like this, a corporation thing. You will see big corporations to just work for one man to have best ABS system on the planet, to be the fastest man on deceleration, which is a joke in my opinion. You lose the fun of it, like you have with just a bicycle. You just jump on a bicycle, no ABS, no nothing, just go and have fun. More so to a motorcycle, jump on it, you have the throttle, no electronics or few electronics, just go and ride, you have some fun. If everything becomes NASA or Pentagon stuff, or Washington White House stuff, it's too complex, you lose the fun of it, I think. Yes, I presented the idea, I think, in detail, but let's enter now into details, because with my understanding, something can't work that good into bicycles if on the bigger brother, let's say like this, on the motorcycle, if it's a let's not call it a fail, an almost close fail, or just a very very big complex thing if it is a success. So basically, as I said, if you program it good, it goes good. So it is not a fail or a succeed, it is just what it is. But do not forget, as it is also without ABS, which the riders already do. Basically, why to complicate and give, or to create another jobs, let's say like this, into the racing department and whatever, which will be called the ABS specialist in the team. I'm the ABS racer, the best ABS motorcyclist, no, best ABS breaker on the planet, ABS champion 2040, and whatever. It's a joke. All right, let's watch now very few informations about this to understand why things that work on motorcycles are such a failure on bicycle world, and no one except me for 1 year, 1.5 years, let's say like this, can't see this and talk about. And I'm referring to the motorcycle trend to use 4 pistons front and only 2 in the back, but in the bicycles we use 4 because why not? So it's counterintuitive, it's just unbalancing the bike. But if we talk about ABS, which does not work that good, or is just restrictive or dangerous in some situations on a motorcycle, even though in the majority of the situation it can just work fine for a average user, in the bicycles world it will be the same or even worse than that, because in any way it will not be the bicycle more complex than a motorcycle, so you will have a better ABS on a stupid bicycle than a top level motorcycle. It's nonsense. You will not have that, not even the pro races or whatever, pro athletes level, whatever. So if this will not happen, why we still think about using ABS on bicycles? And let's jump now into the motorcycle stuff, which will say because we just play with it, but it's just stupid, it is non-relevant for the general use of this word IMU. We will talk about telemetry. Basically is taking measurements in real time, and of course with that input we can also control if you have an ECU, which a motorcycle does have. Some bicycles, I don't know, I think they have, because they have power modes and whatever, but it is very 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 basic. For bicycles it's just garbage, and more so that ECU of the bicycle can't control that good both the power and the brake, so it's junk. So let's read this. A motorcycle IMU, or inertial measurement unit, is an electronic device that measures acceleration and rotational motion, angular velocity on multiple axes. This data is used by motorcycle electronic control system like ABS and traction control to enhance safety and performance, especially during cornering and other dynamic riding situation. It is already very complex because, as you can see here, it is measured on multiple axes. So basically, whatever is in 3D already start to be very complex. To enhance safety, whatever, for general masses, as I said, it is good, it can work, if you don't think too much. But even if you are just a regular person, of course, each one of us crashed a bike, each one of us who learned to walk when we were 1 or 2 years of age. Of course, we learned by practice, we improved, we fold, we get back up, and so on. So basically, how you can't create a system, a perfect system for safety, for whatever, because maybe you are leaned in one direction and whatever, it can happen and you still crash. So it's just a standard thing, let's say like this. It's just a route, well path, or well stepped path, route, whatever, trail in the woods, which you can step on it. But it's not the safety, because you can find a bear or a meteorite can strike you and whatever can happen. About this unit, what it measure: acceleration, forward, backward, up, down, side to side, angular velocity, which is the rotation, pitch front to back, roll side to side, and yaw left to right. How IMU works: it contains accelerometers and gyroscopes, or MEMS sensors, that detect these movements. The data is then relayed to the bike's computer ECU. This is about ABS. We don't talk about these other things. The IMU data helps the system understanding the motorcycle lean angle and adjust braking and power delivery accordingly, preventing wheel lockup or slippage during turns. But in my opinion, in modest opinion, this is just like you open an encyclopedia, whatever, and you read about something and you say, oh, I know how the world or the life works because I read it here. No, that's just a concept, let's say like this. What is missing here after this end, preventing wheel lockup or slippage during turns, here it would have been awesome to mention in one specific moment with the configuration, the, let's say like this, the particular configuration, because as I said, you can have a better configuration, a configuration for straight line deceleration, or in corners, and in whatever. The complexity of these things is immense, as it for acceleration and racing in general. You can see here, you can anticipate this mentioning, preventing wheel lockup or slippage during turns, depending on the moment and the situation and the conditions and the rider and whatever. So it's just a general thing. who am I to talk about this? I'm not who I was, but with my understanding, I wouldn't take a factory or standard ABS to just learn and rely on and whatever, if it could be without it. So if I can use no ABS, give it to me. I try to still do my best in each situation. I try to think, to still react, to still um, de- uh, detach from stress, to think clear in stressful situations, and of course with practice to react or to just act accordingly to each specific situation, not to just stay safety and ABS did it for me. Oh, I just grabbed it with this very muscly and strong forearm. I just grab it. Oh, I just grab that lever, squeeze the oil out of that hydraulic brake, and yeah, ABS. Oh, it was safe. It was safe. It was performance. Technologia. It was awesome. It saved me. It made me champion. No, and as I said, if we talk about average people just having that thing and learning to use it, and somehow, yeah, it can be alright. Like we have ABS in cars or whatever other things, yeah, it can be good. But I chased situations and spaces and times and moments where that thing could have just make everything more complex, even with it being developed and programmed perfectly. Because in one situation it could have been awesome, but that would have been awesome if I put my mind to program and to anticipate it and to create and to upload it and to update it, which was time consuming. In this way, I better simulated into my mind without ABS and just uh, perform it without as good as I could with my physical and with my strategy. This is only one situation to refer at that telemetry things. When you have lean angle, you have suspension preload, let's say like this, or you will you will see or you will hear into this ABS debate about trail braking. So basically, you somehow corner with with a bit of brake, just a bit, and whatever. This is on slow motion. So, oh no, oh, awesome, yeah, yeah, awesome. So, I want not the same limits, the same limit situation, the same limit applications, the same whatever. But even if we talk about a 70% or just some situations, I feel that ABS is working against more than it helps, or if it just work as it should work. um, how can I say it? It's not perfect, and in the end, I will still touch and tweaks and perform and upload and fine tune that ABS functionality. So basically, it will not be good even if it's good. So without being unsatisfied, always unsatisfied as a person, to chase knowledge and I blocked a bit because I don't want to say I chase excellence or performance or whatever, or I chased fine, or let's say I chased performance, the being a good student and a very good player thing. So from that point of view, ABS will be just another component to adjust and to play with it, but not, the thing. Let's listen to this MCN motorcycle C whatever network, I don't know, community network, whatever, what have to say about ABS.
For the road, even though they look nice. But yeah, great question. Next, this one is about sports bikes and ABS. So this is from Alan Davis, 3726. Hi Neezy, why does ABS on sports bikes get such a bad rep? I have an 09 Fireblade and it's my first bike with ABS. I find it extremely confidence inspiring, especially after watching an MCM video on the ABS Fireblade film when it was first released. I think I would have done that one, where the system was praised. I understand that on track ABS is a hindrance, but for the road I wouldn't want to go back to non-ABS. So why do many people speak badly about such a system? Good question. Right, so let's just talk about ABS on sports bikes. Not ABS as it was before, that started life on BMWs probably. So the first proper sports bike with ABS was your 09 Fireblade and the 09 CBR 600RR. It had linked ABS, which a lot of bikes do, but it also had brake-by-wire, so there's no physical connection in normal braking circumstances between the lever and the brake calipers. There's hoses that go to an ABS pump, and the ABS pump decides what to put into the calipers based on wheel speeds and all those, all the data it gathers from the bike. But in an emergency situation, if something fails, you get your direct connection back between the lever and the caliper as kind of a fail-safe. So, when that blade first came out, the ABS was actually quite good. We rode the bike in Qatar. MCN paid their own way to get there because it was the financial crash, and Honda UK just decided to stop all activities. So we were going to be on that launch with them, but they decided not to do it. So we actually went there ourselves. We were the only British journalists there, British magazine there. We rode around the track, and the ABS didn't get in the way. You wouldn't really know it had ABS. Maybe under really extreme braking you could feel it pulse through the lever, but it wasn't really a problem. And then they set up a sand runway in the paddock, and they actually imported the sand from somewhere else because the sand in Qatar wasn't good enough for what they needed. I think it was too rough. They wanted something fine. And we did some braking tests, and it was brilliant. They invited us to sort of come up to this sand runway at about 50 mile an hour, jam on the brakes, and the bike just stopped. No drama at all. We then did some other tests with that bike with some MCM readers where we had a non-ABS and an ABS blade. Everyone preferred the ABS blade in an emergency braking situation. We could beat the stopping distance with practice, but in a like bang braking, emergency braking, the ABS stopped better. So it was all.
This is a very important point. So if you just say, is it ABS good on a bicycle? Oh, it is good for what kind of bicycle? For what kind of conditions? On what terrain, environment, whatever situation? And to make a percentage out of that, you can improve yourself and your reactions and beat the ABS basically. But it can be very good if you just go on sand or on ice on whatever and you just grab the brake on straight and you want to find out if it's good or not. But this is only one situation. You just added few kilos and a lot of complexity just for one and only one situation. Of course, you can create a map and a pattern for a lot more other situations, but in any way, it is not an ideal world to just say, oh, with ABS, oh, it's simple, oh, ABS, yeah, and it is safe or performance or whatever. Or to want to have it on your bike for 100% spent on that bike, even though maybe it can function for 1% of those situations, even though 90% of time you ride in different conditions, aka you have a mountain bike like me or more mountain bikes, but you ride in the city, so you're not with the mountain bike on mountain. Why to use ABS? But I try to sell this e-bike, this whatever, in these conditions and in this whatever. Yeah. I try also to sell a aero bike, a road aero bike with or gravel, whatever gravel bike. But in 80% of times, that user use it to just go to work, or is just fat and or just he joyride it 1 or 2 days a week in the best scenario. He's a weekend rider. Why that much technology to be aero if you're just heavy weighted and you're just fat? And how about the lightweight? Who can sell you lightweight? Of course I can sell you an aero frame, but how much time will reduce on a uphill with your road bike on Transfăgărășan? That aero thing, aero suit, aero helmet, aero glasses, aero whatever, aero tires, aero handlebars and integrated stem cockpit, aero saddle, aero screws and washers, aero paint, whatever aero, against the lightweight of a trained body, a lightweight fit body. Who can sell that? But we developed the aero carbon whatever, the aero, the new ABS, the whatever, and you can see as the gravel bike move in ears from left to right to suspension to no suspension to front suspension to full suspension, more 40% 40 millimeters front suspension from RockShox, or 50-55 from Fox, which already, as I said in the in another, maybe I will post that in description. The 60 millimeters RockShox Paragon already offers for something like 20 years. The gravel bike pendule goes from left to right, no suspension to whatever, with drawbars, with whatever, but the hybrid bikes are already there for years and years. So basically there are a lot of years of experimenting and playing and marketing and selling and drama and new improvements and latest tech and latest announcements and the latest reveal that auto and bike saloon in whatever crap. They are all crap. You can stick to simplicity, which is imperfect, let's say like this, imperfect, less performant in some situations. It is cheap. It is, let's say like this, time less time consuming to also read and talk about this and perfect and whatever and make it work and whatever crap, and also less disappointing if that technology doesn't work, as we listened to this 2009 2009 well, it is that much I don't even remember how is to talk about in English in years which are not 15 or with 2021 2022 20, it is just 09 20 2009 whatever. The 2009 Honda Fireblade, which is the 1000 model, also the 600, came up with the ABS, and it was good, you know, whatever. So from that point, they played, they improved, they then screwed up with ABS and whatever and whatever, and coming back to, oh, I closed this. Coming back to this 0708 Yamaha with no ABS, with no traction control, no whatever. Guess what? Guess what? These bikes are still very fast, and they are a bliss when they just keep up with the newer bikes. Of course, not in the launch control mode because you can't beat a computer, but in the rest, when you start to corner and you just go in a pace, so you can't win with these bikes, alright? Because there are technological progress in these latest 20 years, but they are very fast and they are there. You can compete with them, basically. Not at the top level, but they are very fast. They are very fast, you know, very, very fast. They're very competitive with the modern bikes. They don't lack. They're not one hand or one foot less of a bike because they don't have ABS and traction control, because a worse or a bad ABS system is worse than no ABS at all, or a stupid traction control which you somehow want to shut it off. It is worse than no traction control. That stupid, very, very stupid MotoGP system, which everybody used, but firstly only Ducati used to lower the bike as in a drag race, as also the motocross forks do at the start when you pump the fork and the bike lean forward, and after you accelerate and go, it returns and just go nice for a fast start. Those things are oh, awesome, oh nice, but they're just for the show. It is stupid to make a MotoGP bike also good for a drag race, to start for the show, for the people to give applause and to clamp their hands for this technology. Oh, awesome, MotoGP. Yeah. Watch the Isle of Man TT. Those can race with whatever bike, which doesn't break, which is reliable, and they race for real, basically. Of course, they are still in the business and conserve and try to do it with their brain, not and poof. But it is more than just a industry for the money machine like F1 and MotoGP and whatever other craps are. So let's watch again. Not let's watch again. Let's continue what this gentleman say, because he said when it works. Let's also listen when this doesn't work and when these beauties with no whatever crap. Oh, let's not forget, in the same series, I think it's called What Best Is, or What It Even Mean, whatever. I talked about a lot of things in this series. You can find also me talking about Nidia Naso, which is a Yamaha R1 American rider, or Italian riding in America, in USA, on a non-electronics bikes. Oh, let's search his name. So yeah, let's search. Let's say like this. I forget how it's called exactly, but Nidiana, yeah, this guy. This is riding an Yamaha R1 with no electronics. He's obsessed. He's a student for what he can do, and he improve. He does not expect from ABS. Oh, I'm staying here comfortably. Let the ABS be fast for me. From the whip. Let's make some noise. Hey. From the slaves. Yeah, let's get back to the work, slaves. Let's get some speed today. Traction control. Do something, traction control. I try to be fast today. Faster. Like you do with the dogs sleigh in Alaska and in Russia. Faster. Faster. No, bust your ass or your back to be faster. Of course, those systems can be good, but you can also adapt and adjust, and if those are required, to use. Also on these older models you can use a quick shifter, so basically, of course, you can retrofit, you can implement newer technology on those older things. But let's cement this idea that ABS is not the I don't know, the thing to have on your bike, or is just a subjective thing. You can have it or you can't have it. You can still crash, and you can crash without it, with a lot of consequences, but in the end, what's the thing? Oh, you didn't have ABS. Oh, if you had ABS, it would be a bit different. Oh, being lean like this. Oh, if you had ABS, you could have avoided this crash. Oh, it was a lot better without this crash because you had ABS. Oh, how about to have show in MotoGP not by crashing and overtaking like we used to have, that being the show, like the gladiators, the circus and bread. Oh no, let's now clap our hands and enjoy the show, but with lowering the bikes at the starting of the race, so they can start like a drag race bike, and with the aero wings and whatever in MotoGP, they are fast in straight line, but no more drama, no more overtakings, just Ducati going very fast and everybody else just no emotion, no nothing, no crashes, no overtaking, no nothing. Oh, but they are fast. Good launch control, good aerodynamic and planted, no wheelies, because wheelie of course is bad, no Kevin Schwantz with that Pepsi Suzuki in Macau, I think. Very old videos, 1980s or 90s, two-stroke, going wheelies. No more that, because it's not efficient. No more crashes. Nothing. No. Let's just go with ABS. It is the best. Let's continue, gentlemen.
It's all good. ABS on sports bikes was kind of good up until about 2015, maybe, with the R1. I think the R1 would have been the first Japanese superbike with an IMU. And then ABS took a bit of a dive. So a lot of ABS systems, especially Japanese, not so much the Europeans, with IMUs became pretty bad. The performance was okay on the road.
Sorry to interrupt. Why? Because the Japanese products are reliable, cheap. Not cheap. The Chinese are cheap, whatever. Or the Indian, whatever. Comparing Americans are crap, not even mention. So, Japanese, Europeans. Europeans are expensive, complicated, whatever. So you have Ducati, BMW, Triumph, KTM. So complex, refined, but very, very, very expensive. You have Japanese, which is somehow standard, it goes, whatever, but is cheap. So in this whole equation, of course, you can have ABS, but without you putting the time or the money, the resources to make it better than Japanese, better than standard, or better than without it at all, in some situations, as I mentioned in that description of IMUs about ABS in some situation, in certain applications or whatever. It's not good. It's just a whatever on the bike, just a feature, just a thing. Like for example, you have those 4 piston in the rear. Oh, I have 4 piston in the rear. Why? When you can use that? Oh, it doesn't matter, I have. Yeah, but it make your bike more unstable in some situation. Oh, but yeah, but it looks awesome on Instagram. Oh yeah, if you just have a list, whatever list of options, if you can read on this pergament here, oh, all these features. Oh, ABS tick, carbon mirrors tick, heated grips tick, forged wheels tick, 200 horsepower tick, red interior tick, BMW M stitching tick, and so on. So basically, if you don't just try to check a endless list, these things can be a parasite, as I said in the beginning, a parasite. As a cheap standard, or even in the more expensive version, because as I said also in the beginning, in the MotoGP you can use the most expensive, the most whatever fine tuned whatever ABS system, period. But as my cousin said, they don't use ABS. Really? Yes. Hallelujah, revelation. I discovered America with this information. No. Why? Isn't ABS good? Doesn't ABS make you faster?
First Japanese superbike with an IMU. And then ABS took a bit of a dive. So a lot of ABS systems, especially Japanese, not so much the Europeans, with IMUs became pretty bad. The performance was okay on the road, but the feel was completely gone from the brakes. So, using that R1 as an example, the 15 R1 has got really wooden brakes because it feels even more synthetic than it does anyway, because it's brake by wire. So you just feel like you're pulling on a rubber bung, which really you are, I suppose, rather than feeling the caliper and the pads and running up through the lever and through your arms and through your body. So that generation of ABS had no feel, so it wasn't very.
One mention: it is not a wire brake in the bicycle we have. I tested recently a very refined wire mechanical brake. I also have that, but not like that, because the cable and the housing, this thing, but for cable, whatever. If they are frictionless and whatever, man, you just if, for example, for this hydraulic, you push and you say, oh, nice, it is Shimano, oh, it is SRAM, it is whatever model, oh, it is Hope, oh, latest model, oh, whatever, hydraulic, 4 piston in the rear, oh, yeah, I feel whatever. Inside you have that, or those. Here is a double rubber seal, which push with the piston the volume of oil, which goes into the caliper, where you have 2 pistons, or 4 with another, each one rubber seal, and when you push that, of course there is a loss, even if it's a small loss, even if that's in oil, you have that. For you to understand, nowadays they use, even for Shimano XTR, here is not just a bushing, but you have a small bearing. SRAM came up with this thing. I don't know if they are first, but in this SRAM Shimano, which I also compare, maybe there are other manufacturers, but I say SRAM used it first, now Shimano use it to have little less drag compared to this one. But what do you do with the inside losses, with that rubber seals, and with this double in the rear for those stupid 4-pot in the rear? How you compensate with those losses? You can't. And with this thing in mind, I tried these mechanical brakes, and they go so easy, so flawless, so buttery smooth. You have so much control and so much feel that I wanted. Oh, there. That black here, black full suspension NS bikes, to also make it mechanical, because I have those set of brakes already, but to use those cables and whatever those are called, housings, whatever. So these brakes for motorcycles are not with wire. Of course they are hydraulic, but as we say, or try to somehow imagine, for the bicycles, if you just grab the brake and you say, oh, I don't have the feel between Shimano and SRAM and Magura and Hope or whatever other premium, I don't feel Hayes, TRP, I don't feel, or between hydraulic or mechanical, oh, they feel, they feel. Of course the feel is important, but this is a direct feel. Even if it's mechanical or hydraulic, it is direct, because you are connected, your fingers are connected straight into the disc, into the pads. Or if it's not a disc, if it is with the whatever older technology, there's a direct connection into it. But with this wired whatever, you have a pump, and your signal goes into the pump, and then the pump send back to the calipers, whatever. So basically, if you just squash that lever, as I said, you just squash it to spill oil or whatever everywhere, no problem. The ECU decide how much will send into the brake, and they say, oh, it's better because it have ABS. Man, I don't feel whatever the difference between the feeling of the hydraulic and the mechanical or the SRAM. Oh, I can't ride Shimano because the bite point move is not like so consistent like for SRAM Mavens. Oh, I can't ride Shimano, they are not good because I don't feel. Yeah, you don't have feel. Try the motorcycles brakes with ABS pump to see if you have more feel with that. And we somehow try to implement that failure into the bicycles. And how we implemented for more power, stopping power on the rear, with less feel but more power into the lever for that rear wheel with 4 piston calipers. So it was reversed. We don't want more feel, we want more power. So less feel, of course it will be a joke, uh, a joke of 1 or 2 decades for bicycles, and I mean performance bicycles, not standard, because as you saw and you heard, the Japanese compared to Europeans ABS are garbage. The Europeans, because are more refined and expensive, of course are better on ABS, but the Japanese, so of course in that situation the ABS for bicycles will be crap, just throw away crap which you can't deactivate in the or that easy. So it is a parasite to live with it, complex, heavier, 5 or 10 kilograms heavier on the bike. Why? Because it have ABS, and more so if you talk about performance bikes, technology and riders, it will be so bad, so bad, if you don't just put yourself to work and make it work only, as I said, in some predetermined, predefined or predetermined conditions and specifications and whatever moments. So no general things or general setups to be good for a lot of riders or for everybody. Sorry for interruption. With this we will end.
Than it does anyway, because it's brake by wire. So you just feel like you're pulling. The performance was okay on the road, but the feel was completely gone from the brakes. So, you know, using that R1 as an example, the 15 R1 has got really wooden brakes because it feels even more synthetic than it does anyway, because it's brake by wire. So you just feel like you're pulling on a rubber bung, which really you are, I suppose, rather than feeling the caliper and the pads and running up through the lever and through your arms and through your body. So that generation of ABS had no feel, so it wasn't very pleasant to use. And given that braking is like almost half of your riding, when that's not there, it's not as nice.
He say it is not nice, it is not pleasant. But is it safe? I don't think. He also say for motorcycle and whatever, alright, more or less, the braking from the riding time is 50%. For a bicycle, I don't know if it is 50%. I think it's a lot less, because if you have no engine to assist you, to push you, only your legs on straight or uphill or downhill, always the braking moments are less than 50%. Less than 50%. Except if you're doing short descents like downhill. Of course, you have only descent 5 minutes on a mountain, and of course you only descend. But in other applications, or except e-bikes, no, it is not near close to 50%. So we don't talk about the pleasure, but if we talk about safety, to have such crap on the bike, I think it can be more dangerous, not pleasant or unpleasant, but dangerous.
And then on track, first of all, the ABS, you haven't got that nice feel, and then the ABS is over conservative, so it will let the brakes off, especially when you trail brake into corners. And my GSX-R 1000R 2017 long termer did this. You trail brake into a corner, and because the system starts to freak out because you're losing grip and the wheel speeds are doing funny things, the system lets off, so you end up with no brakes going into a corner. And the other thing with
you end up with no brakes into a corner. Trail braking. Oh, but ABS, I want ABS and 4-piston into my rear wheel and calipers on my stupid motorcycle or my stupid bicycle, because I explore the motorcycles to understand also the motorcycles, but the bikes, the bicycles. So, to find yourself into a situation with no brakes because of the ABS, no thanks. And if we talk about tanks bikes, just imagine in this situation to don't have the control myself, being leaned, trail braking, whatever telemetry, telling to my ABS system to don't give me the brakes. Just imagine if I would decide to use that stupid thing myself, or to recommend it to my close friends and family and relatives and fans and people and nation and whatever.
With kind of basic Japanese ABS systems is when you brake really, really hard and the rear wheel starts to lose grip, it starts to spin faster than the front, then it lets the brakes off because it thinks the bike's starting to skid. So this is why a lot of sort of sophisticated ABS systems that you'll see on Ducatis and Triumphs and BMWs have a rear wheel lift sensor that can be switched off so the rear ABS can be deactivated. But if it hasn't got that, you know, that generation of ABS, that's why it's got kind of such a bad rap. But now they seem to have turned a corner over the last couple of years. Like the new Fireblade is a point in a good point, because the ABS still feels a little bit wooden, but the power's there and the consistency's there. So I think ABS has turned a corner now. Yep. So yeah, I think ABS on your 09 Fireblade is really, really good. But I think later bikes just aren't, and it's a real shame. Even if you pull the fuse out, you kind of get a bit of the performance back, but you know, you still got a convoluted system where you've got all these hoses that run to an ABS unit under the seat and then back out again. The ABS units, the early ones, are about 10 kilos, so they're quite heavy as well. So that's what the whole ABS problem is all about. But for sort of dedicated track riding, you don't need it. You know, I had it actually on my race bike in IDM. BMW developed like an ABS system for racing, where it basically disabled the rear, and you were able to brake really, really hard with it. But really, you don't need it on the track, even in the wet. Really, you know, with sticky wets, with good suspension and lots of feel through the bike. You don't really need ABS when it comes to racing. And I know some people say that cars with ABS perform better than cars without ABS, but obviously they got 4 big tyres, lots of grip, and the dynamics are slightly different, aren't they? So anyway, great question, thank you very much. How are we doing for time? Oof.
So in the end of this debate, you have at least 10 years or 15 years of technology being bad, being trash for ABS, for motorcycles. They experimented, even though from the beginning it was no necessity for it, because if you don't need that in racing, you also don't need that into the general use for whoever. Also to make it more complex and whatever. Alright, if you just grab that brake in snow or in sand, in mud, yeah, maybe it works. But very, very, very few occasions you need that. And if you don't need that in racing, and more so if it's better to use no such things in racing, because you can adapt to road grip situations with good tires, or in street with preventing techniques to avoid or to slow down or to anticipate or to simulate different things. Maybe you don't need that ABS in situations, even if it can become dangerous. More so, you can say you don't need, but it is just dangerous. It is a regress than a progress. Of course, we in the bicycles we will need that because as we know, for the disc brake for road bikes, of course we need ABS to be able to brake in specific way to be the best breakers and whatever, and bring that ABS system on my e-bikes or take my money. Can't wait for that for those, as I said, 10 or 15 years, as we saw for motorcycles, also for bicycles, to just scratch our heads like this in reverse until we can find it is easier just with our hands as the best or the most appropriate thing to do it, easiest and the most effectively we can do it. Of course it requires effort to do it, but is the most effective. You can't beat that. You can't create a robot to just do that. And what the racers will do then? What will they do? Will race robots? Of course. Will program robots, will create robots, and the thing will go on at the infinite in a perpetuum cycle of experimenting and whatever things. This is it with what I wanted to say, listening to this very relevant motorcycle short ABS answer and questions and answers, which triggered inside me this approach of ABS for bicycles, explained in so many and so much details. Hopefully it will be well understood, not because I'm whatever talking to idiots who can't understand. I know you can understand it, but the more ways I can explain, I think is better and easier to get in touch with it and to relate to it, to make things work for you, whatever things. If you can explain in a way you can understand, of course that's a step forward, because if you at least can finally understand one thing after you failed, now with this understanding maybe you have the chance to make it also work, as we say, a stupid, as I say, not we, as I say, it is good to be stupid, because at least you can start from whatever point, and maybe at least once in this life you can finally be in the end also smart or clever. But if you are clever all your life, maybe, as all those intellectuals and celebrities before us said, I know that I know nothing, or something like this. I know the saying is a bit different than we all knew, but the idea is, if you find a lot of things, you tend somehow to say you're stupid, you know too little, or you can. There is an immensity you can explore, but you don't have the time in the life to find more about. But one who is clever always, safe always, and whatever, maybe it's a bit uh, less gifted in the end, because maybe he will never be you know clever, or yeah, clever, smart, whatever.